Hi everyone, I've got a new blanket pattern for you. I just created this pattern this weekend and I'm so excited to share it. It was so fun to work up. I just kind of ended up at Hobby Lobby, some yarn fell in my cart. I don't know how that happens, and then voila, this blanket was created during the week. It's got a beautiful picot edge on it. It's got these stripe pattern, and it's also worked lengthways. So this is the length. I worked it this way and then worked it to the width I wanted. This blanket here is about 39 inches long and 31 inches wide. But the pattern is so easy, you can do it for any size you want, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But look at the drape on it. It's just incredibly soft, and it's so pretty, so delicate, and I think it's just pretty. I did name it the candy stripe because it reminds me of those candy straws, the striping on the yarn. I don't know why, but that's what I named this pattern. It's the candy stripe blanket. So I hope you enjoy this and make your own wonderful candy stripe blanket. A couple things you're going to need is your hook, of course. I used a 4-weight yarn. You can use any yarn you want because you can make this any size you wish. I'm going to use this 6 hook because I used a number 4 yarn, and that's I crochet a little tight. I like to use a bigger hook than the yarn calls for. Make sure you grab some stitch markers, some scissors, and make sure you have a tapestry needle so that you can weave in your edges or your ends. The yarn that I use specifically for this pattern, there's been a lot of interest in these colors, and there's, with good reason. It's a beautiful pattern. I did use almost 2 skeins of this ivory. Not quite 2 skeins. This is what I had left from one, so really not a too bad size ball left. So I probably used 1 3/4 of this ivory color, and these Hobby Lobby skeins of the solid are 7 ounces. So grab somewhere around 14 ounces of your main color for this 39 by 31 blanket. More if you want a bigger blanket. Won't need as much if you want a smaller one. And then this Heather Together is where I got the candy stripe idea, because of these nice little stripes in this pattern. This is called Heather Together. These are a little bit smaller skeins with the colors. So this is 5 ounces. I used 1 skein, so I had this much left over, so not quite 1 full skein. So grab 1 of those, and then the purple is a Purple Haze, and it is Yarn Bee, and this pretty Yarn Bee purple color is called Purple Haze. That's what the tag looks like. It's the low pill fiber, soft and sleek, and Purple Haze. And this is also a 5 ounce skein right there, and a number 4. So they go really well together, both the Yarn Bee and the Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn, so whichever. Together your supplies, we can go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and take my main color, which is the ivory. And there is no set chain number that you need to do. You can work the number of chains you want to get the size blanket you want. So just chain until you reach the size you want in length, because remember, this blanket is worked in length, not width. You can work it in width if you prefer to have the stripes going the other way, but I worked it where the stripes are going this way, and I think it turned out so pretty that way. So just chain the number you wish. So if you want to go around the 39-inch mark, you want to go probably, I think I did 80 chains. So go ahead and do around 80 chains and measure it. It'll measure a little bit shorter than the 39 because the border adds a little bit of size to it, but it should be somewhere close to that number. But you can chain any number There's not a chain multiple that you need to worry about. It's a really easy pattern. I'm just going to work up a few chains here so you can see what the pattern looks like. Maybe a couple more just so you can get a good feel for the stitches that we're doing. The stitches that we're doing are wide half double crochets, and wide double crochets. There's only a small difference between a regular crochet and the wide variation. I'm going to show you. The first thing that you do want to do though is this very first row, you're going to want to do just regular half double crochets. So typically in my blankets, I like to work in these back bumps. You can work in this back bumps. There's your first one there, second one there. Let me kind of show you so you can see where those bumps are. Right there. You can see that. Or you can work into the chains themselves right here. Whichever way you prefer. I just like to work on the back bumps because it leaves this nice pretty edge at the bottom, and it's really much easier to put your border on that way. So either way it works. You are going to need chain 2, so whatever your length is, 2 of these are going to be your turning chains. I don't use the stacked single crochet, which I really like for my edges in this pattern because it makes it a little bowed, and I'll kind of show you why. So we're just going to go into our second chain from the hook. There's 1, there's 2, working in these back bumps. I'm going to yarn over, stick my hook in, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through, and there's my first half double crochet. Put your stitch marker in there. You don't want to lose your place. Yarn over and then work your way down all the way to the bottom, to the end, just working in your half double crochet. Now keep in mind, if you did your chain a little bit tight, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time working in that back bump. If you don't want to work in that back bump and you don't want to fight the chain, don't worry about it. Just work in the regular chain area and it will work out exactly the same. This is just what I like to do. So work that half double crochet all the way down. Remember, this is going to be the length of your blanket, not the width. So you want to make sure it's longer than you normally would do because you're not working the width, you're working the length. So somewhere around 80 chains for a baby blanket. If you want to make it a little bit bigger, it's fine. If you want to make it a little bit shorter, that's fine too. There's no rules. If you want to make this a full-size blanket, you can do that too. You're just going to need a lot more chains. Somewhere around 150, 160 for a really long blanket. Doesn't have to be an even number of chains either. It can be any number of chains. You just chain until you get the size you want. I'm almost to the end here. Working my half double crochets. It gets easier after this first row. That first row is always the hardest, working in that chain. There we go. So there is my base row, first row of half double crochets. Now to do the next row, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work like we're working, sorry, we're going to chain 2, not 1. Chain 2 and turn. And typically for stitches, you're going to work into this top piece right here. This is your stitch. For a wide stitch, we're going to work between the posts. So we're going to be working here, between the stitches here, right here. If you pull them apart, you can see those posts You're working in here, not up here where the stitches are. A regular half double crochet or double crochet, we would work here. For the wide stitch, the only variation is where you work it, and it's going to be a little bit lower between these posts, okay? So we're going to do a row of wide double crochets, and that's why we chained 2. So we're going to yarn over, pull that apart so you can see it, so you can kind of learn where you're putting it. Put your hook right through the middle, pull up your yarn. See where it's at? Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you've got your turning chain of 2, and you've got a double crochet, and it's wide. It's not in the stitch, it's in that post. It's between the posts. And you're going to work those wide double crochets all the way down, right between the posts. Work them all the way down. Like this. Remember, the only difference in a double crochet and a wide double crochet is where you're putting it. You're not putting it in that stitch where you normally put your next stitch. You're putting it between the posts. And it's going to look so pretty when you work it up. I tried to go in the stitch between the posts. And the last one, you can see where you put your stitch marker. You're going to put it right there. So you're not technically going to put it where you put your stitch marker. That was just so you know where you're going. But you're going to put it right between that turning chain and that stitch. You want to make sure you get this last one because it's going to be an easy one to skip. So make sure you get it in there. And you've got your last wide double crochet. So look at how that looks. You got your row of half double crochets, and then you got a row of wide double crochets, and it looks like that. Now what we're going to do is chain 1, turn your work, and now we're going to do a row of wide half double crochets. Make sure you get into this first post. Remember, we're not working in the stitch, we're working in between the posts right here. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, and that's your wide half double. Yarn over, go through those posts. They're easier to see from now on since you've already widened. You know, you're going a little wider. They're much easier to see. You're going to work that wide half double crochet all the way down. Okay, and that's how your pattern repeat's going to go. You're going to do a 1 row of wide half double, 1 row of wide double crochet. You're going to chain 1 for the half doubles, and you're going to chain 2 for the double crochets. You don't want to really do a stacked single because it will make this edge bow out. That stacked is a little wider, and we want it to look like this and not kind of little cattywampus. We want it to look like that. So keep that's what your stitches look like. Now for the pattern repeat itself, what I worked in this blanket, if you can look here, is I worked 1 row each of the wide half double and the wide double crochet. So that's a group of 2, a half and a double. So you've got ivory here, you've got the heather together, ivory, purple haze, heather together, ivory, purple haze, and then I went with 4 rows of the ivory, so it's half double double, half double double, all wides, heather together, ivory, purple haze, then I did 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of the ivory, half double, double, half double, double, half double, double. Then I did a heather together, an ivory, heather together, and a purple. And this purple is my center mark. And at this center mark, I repeated the mirror image this way. So everything that I worked this way, I just worked the opposite. So I worked the complete opposite. I did the heather together, ivory, all the way to the bottom, so that this half and this half look the same. If it's not necessary, that's just the way I like to work it. I have a hard time randomizing stripes anyway. I really like order with it, but I love the way they turn out. Just working it is hard for me to do. So the mirror image, I think it makes a beautiful, beautiful blanket. Let me show you it one more time. There you go. It's so, so pretty. So go ahead and work up that blanket. And I'll do one more video to show you how to do this pretty picot edge. It's optional. It does have a couple different rows on here. You can really do any edge you want, but I think this picot turned out so pretty. So I'm going to show you that in the next video. Thanks, guys.